The Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, just last week, passed a landmark judgment enforcing the rights of American citizens to refuse to offer services to people on the basis of their faith and because they were LGBTQ. Mr. Speaker, it shows you that even America has realized the error of their judgment and are walking back their steps.
There is this new awakening among Africans. There is this new consciousness among young Africans in particular, from Nigeria to Ghana to Burkina Faso to Niger to Cameroon to Mali to Ivory Coast to South Africa to many African countries. There is this new awakening. There is this new consciousness of Africanism. Hey, Africa is the richest country in the world in terms of natural resources and other wealth, cultural and human resources too. However, Africa is adjudged to be the poorest continent in the world. And there have been this general belief and agreement too that the Western imperialists have somehow kept Africa down, exploiting Africa, exploiting our natural resources to develop themselves and enrich themselves in the expense of Africa. Recently, there was a coup in Niger Republic, but before Niger Republic, there was Burkina Faso and Mali, all here in West Africa. Well, we are not dwelling on that coup issue because on Butterline TV, we are not proponents, we are not supporters of Q. However, we are supporters of the new consciousness in Africa and the new awakening. And so, today we'll be taking you to Ghana, Accra, Ghana, where a particular member of the Ghanaian Parliament, talking about St. George, is making waves, is trending all over Africa, and young Africans are flying his name high. Why? Because he has stood up and also backed by the other members of the Ghanaian Parliament in speaking against the gay marriage and against the stand of the United States of America and other Western powers in trying to force Africa to accept what is non-natural to Africa.
Because, Mr. Speaker, like it is attributed to Robert Mugabe, if you put two men in a room and give them 12 months to produce as an offspring, they cannot produce an offspring. And so, Mr. Speaker, we will continue to stand here. But let me use this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to celebrate Mr. Speaker, who has been a stalwart and a bastion for this bill. But for Mr. Speaker, this bill would most likely have been killed. Mr. Speaker has stood his ground and ensured that this bill has come this far. And I want to use this opportunity with the support of my colleague members of Parliament, since we all support this bill, to serve notice to the Western powers that we have taken judicial notice of what they have done to the Speaker of Uganda. After Uganda passed the bill, the sanctions on the Speaker of Uganda's Parliament and on the sponsors of those bills, we will serve notice as well that if they replicate same with our Speaker and members of Parliament, we will also take action against their business interest in our country. Because they serve in this country and make money from here and take back home. They cannot hold us to ransom. And like has been asked on this floor, Mr. Speaker, why is it that the American Secretary of State has not sanctioned the Secretary of Defense? Because June was declared Pride Month and they had transgender parades. The US Secretary of Defense blocked and stopped a transgender parade on a US Air Force base because he said the US Pentagon, which is their defense headquarters, would not support such activity. Governor DeSantis has passed legislation against open transgender parades in Florida. Why have they not taken on their own citizens? In fact, in 2022 alone, there were 433 actions in State House of Legislatures across the United States, banning and clamping down on homosexuality. The Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, just last week, passed a landmark judgment enforcing the rights of American citizens to refuse to offer services to people on the basis of their faith and because they were LGBTQ. Mr. Speaker, it shows you that even America has realized the error of their judgment and are walking back their steps. Italy in June designated June also as Family Protection Month to counter the Pride Month. Maybe that's something Ghana should begin to consider, that we make June a Family Values Month to celebrate the Ghanaian family value.
We are aware of the attacks and the threats that have been made, but like we serve notice, we're a sovereign nation and we will stand for what is Ghanaian. And we also want to serve notice to those issuing the threats that carrying out those threats will be a high-risk enterprise here in Ghana, because we will come on the floor of Parliament, use your platforms as media houses because we know you support this bill, and publicize every business that is from that country in this country that operates in Ghana and call on Ghanaians to boycott them. So if any government of any country thinks that they will sanction any of the sponsors of the bill or the Speaker of Parliament after this bill is passed, they should prepare to pack up and leave our country as well, because we would also instigate public outcry against their business interests in our country. If they work here, they must respect our laws, because when we visit their countries, we respect their laws. And until we see them carry out those threats against the likes of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Ukraine, or Russia, Bahrain, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Russia and China, then they should stay off Ghana. We are committed to ensure that under the guidance of Right Honorable Speaker, we would go into the consideration. We expect the consideration stage to be a very swift one, because even though there are a number of amendments, those amendments are largely a product of agreement between the sponsors and the committee. And so there would be hardly any cantankerous debates on the subject of those amendments.
And I want to use this opportunity with the support of my colleague members of Parliament, since we all support this bill, to serve notice to the Western powers that we have taken judicial notice of what they have done to the Speaker of Uganda. After Uganda passed the bill, the sanctions on the Speaker of Uganda's Parliament and on the sponsors of those bills, we will serve notice as well that if they replicate same with our Speaker and members of Parliament, we will also take action against their business interests in our country, because they serve in this country and make money from here and take back home. They cannot hold us to ransom.
He backs his claims with facts, with detailed facts and laws, not just Ghanaian laws. He also backed it with national laws. He backed it with traditional laws. He backed it with African Union Act and UN Act. So it's not like he's bringing something new. He's not bringing something new. In fact, he even he goes further to bring some biblical facts to back his claims. Sam George, ladies and gentlemen.